Okay, let's start. We're in the middle of the second paragraph of his book. How far have we gone? We went down and see that the Bechai we did. So we'll go after the next line. Did we finish? Yeah, that's what we're up to. So we're up to the number 48 in the text, the heart of 48.
We're up to the words Uma, the Chalishas Klal. Two lines later. That's where we finished.
So we're going to go back to the conclusion.
Okay.
So the conclusion that conveys al-piseichel, that the creative force, which is rooted in the infinite, must be ever present in creation, because we see the infinite properties in creation. We see that creation is able to perpetuate itself infinitely, and the next generation doesn't get weaker. It doesn't dissipate. Life, human life, plant life, etc., continues to regenerate perfectly. So that's indicative of the infinite properties of nature, which are constant. That's called kayomim b'min. The species continues. There are those things that are kayomim b'ish. As they were created at the outset of creation, continue to endure unchangingly, like the stars, etc. The sun continues to put out the energy unchanging. Again, science claims it's getting weaker, so I don't know the answer to that, but that's the Azoy Sheit, that's how it's written. Now, continuing, so right under the number 48. So observing in nature, the whole point is to see this. Observing in nature, we are forced to conclude that the creative force, which we understand has to be a creative force, the given here is a creator, which itself is not without intelligence at all. It has to be a beginning, which is a whole discussion for itself. At any rate, the expanding universe indicates there's a beginning, obviously. So, therefore, we conclude that the Kei Chapel is dova b'mekoida, it's still attached. It's not nifred, detached, which is a whole discussion for pages and pages to prove HaPiseichel that it must be attached. Dovuk attached means ever present. And from this nasiki mashamayim va'oda, it's boifin shib hazakim kemibodim, and that's what causes the existence of heaven and earth in such a way that they are as strong, undiminished as the day they were created. The lawyer said this is klal without any diminishing or weakness whatsoever. But the world only exists for 6,000 years. One of the proofs we brought earlier, not the proofs, one of the indications, certainly that the source that is responsible for existence is separate from the infinite creators, because there's an expiry date. That was one of the indications we brought. So he addresses that now. Which we said, quoted earlier. The world exists for 6,000 years. And the seventh millennia, it's all destroyed. There are many perushim in this, but the simple meaning is dissolved out of existence. So there is an expiry date. The answer is absolutely not. This is not indicative of a weak efsedus, of a lessening, of a loss that is a result of a weakening of the divine investure, which would be true if it was separate. Because, as we said before, number one, it doesn't gradually peter out. For 6,000 years, it's as strong as it was from the day it was created. So if it is an expiry date, then over time, it just simply gets weaker. Well, there's got to be some indication that it approaches the end game. Not so. But in addition to that, that's just part of the divine plan. That the world has the validity and its intent as the day it was created, what should happen? So I'm going to stop continuously creating it after 6,000 years. Now, this Chad Chruv, this 1 millennium that is destroyed, there's many, many Perushim. I mean, even the h'tשכ, if you look it up, brings, I don't know, 5 or 6 Perushim, and ha'kotzel. There's one thing they don't say, which the Rebbe points out over here. If it means destroyed, need 1,000 years to destroy. 1 second destroyed. Especially as explained in Chassidus, he brings from the Tzemach. But by the number 49 in the text, Binyan Chad Chruv, where that Tzemach addresses this famous piece in Gemara in Sanhedrin, that the 7th millennia is Chruv, is destruction, dissolvement. She'eina kavana she'hefsek hashpah, doesn't mean that God no longer is invested in creating every moment creation. Doesn't mean that at all. Ki'im, al derech, similar. Ki'im is man atchiyah. Atchiyah Samaisin is before that. It's also different shittas. But the most popular, as it were, the ungilim and the accepted shitta is, friends, that your Moishe Mashiach and Atchiyah Samaisin is over by the year 7,000. Which is one of the simple indications Mashiach's got to come soon because, hey, ain't much time left. At any rate, and what kind of benevolent God is that? So, at any rate, so what's going to be about Keser Samaisin? The world disappears. What's the matzav then is similar to Chad Chruv as he goes on to explain, so listen carefully. The bodies will not be physical, they will be, but not the same, with the same physicality as it is at present. Hainu, that spells it out quickly, so we should not. Which means I'll be a hell of a hester, there will not be coarse materialism. But gam like gashmim kolkach, and even the physicality won't be so physical. But why? What does it mean kolkach? Yes or no? It won't be so physical because it won't claim title to itself. The physicality will be transparent and express the divine force that creates it. So it won't be, for sure not chumrius. Chumrius implies kind of a denial of God. But not even Gashmi is so much. Why it will be translucent? Not only translucent in that it will reveal the neshama, its own existence will be a translucent existence. Its own existence will express it's being created constantly by divine force, and that will be apparent in the physicality of the body and the world at large. Now, similarly, the Rebbe says it's like this, but on even a grander or deeper level. Now, there is and that's the Chassidus explains what's meant by the 1,000-year millennium. That it's Chad Chruv. You might ask what happens after that. There's also different shittas that he continues that he starts the creation process all over again. We learned about Nun Alofim Yoivles, 50,000 Jubilee years. Anyway, there's a different shittas, Gashmis, Ruchnius, we'll find out. At Akoponim, Shegam Oz, so the conclusion is that Chad Chruv, Tia, and there's also shittas with that predates us or follows. Will it continue the cycle? Correct that. The 50,000 Yoivlis is pre-creation. There's shittas that they'll continue afterwards. Again and again. I don't think Chassidus doesn't address it because the gay is the kavanah now, but frankly, as Chassidus reveals the kavanah, b'der tachtonim, yes, you never know, God's unpredictable. But once the kavanah and atmos is real the matter, then that's forever and ever. But you never know. He's put a lot of surprises, so you never know. So either we'll be there to find out, or we won't be. So I guess we will be. Right now, what's the gay is the kavanah right now. So continuing his point, that what Chad Chruv means, not that creation is destroyed or disappears, or literally destroyed, rather, there will be heaven and earth and constant creation. Very elevated, there will no longer be coarse material existences per se. Kulu means per se, but rather expressive of the divine force. The kolkach, so why do we call it destroyed? Because the kolkach, yigadlo ilu is such a great virtue. Actually, Gabi mitzias olam kamosha akshav, compared to the way the world existence is today, today's reality is destroyed. And that's a wonderful thing. It's going to be translucent, transparent. The physical and the spiritual, the boundaries between the two blur, because the truth is, it's all him. So they blur. The physical is spiritual, and the spiritual is expressed physically. The Raya Ledova, now the Rebbe is relentless here that Seichos God embraced this. Because why? Because that's what God wants you to understand. He wants him to be in your head. So we're not finished. The Raya Ledova, you can say something. The Raya Ledova, the proof she has Sakashbali is yeah, this is the point I told you already. And the proof is that you can't say that it's no more hashbah. Finished, done. I'm done. After 6,000 years, I'm done. Shali Amru Shit Afishinavi Alba. What's the Gemara say? 6,000 years the world, Chad, and 1,000 years, Korov, destroyed. Now, if I'm done, it doesn't take 1,000 years, it takes 1 second, I'm done. 1,000 years. So obviously it's a whole ashpah, a different level. The Rebbe is beautiful that this Pirush is in the simple meaning of the word. And if then he just stops creating, 1,000 years of not creating, it takes 1 second and it's all over. A millisecond, a nanosecond.
It just has to stop.
Huh?
Maybe we should just have to stop giving
Right,
time.
just to stop creating. So exactly. So just that you're going to remember this, I'll tell you the joke, kind of joke slash maybe a real story. I don't know. That they would tell us as children when we young bachrim lach, efreichim, young chicks just being hatched in yeshiva and being introduced to Chassidus. So they would tell us like this: understanding constant creation. It's just a humorous story. So Chassid's having a discussion with the Misnagin, that's a little Chassidus, not for us. So he says to him, tell me, he says, David wants to destroy this house. How would he do it? So God could do anything, send the thunder, it's not going to answer back, a lightning bolt and burn the whole thing. So the Chassid says, there'd be still ashes, and send a strong wind and disperse the ashes. So the Chassid says to him, if that's the God you worship, he should also get burnt up in that house. So Lechem Fabren Dverim. If Abisha wants to destroy the house, he simply has to stop creating it, and then the fundament disappears. This is a foundation of Chassidus. Bemis the Rambam says it, almost black and white. But we're learning the Rambam with the insight of Chassidus, we see it in what he's saying. But in Bemis, he says, in understanding what the Rambam says, the beginning of the first three halachas of Chassidus Torah, very clear. The creation is ongoing, etc. At any rate, I once told you, in the words of the Rambam, whatever has something every host has to learn. There's certain things everybody have to know. In Yonah Chassidus, you have to learn a few things. After the Tzav, obviously, and one of them on your list, it's not a long list, but it might be anyway. What you have to know is the Siyum Rambam Tov Shem Lamed. The first time they made a Siyum Rambam. Beginning and end of Rambam, the Rebbe explains the deepest inyanim, all in the Rambam, without using one single language of Chassidus, Atzmus, Sefer, Mamale, all in Oisius of Nigla, all in Diyukim, in the Diyak Lashon Rambam. Deepest inyanim. Which reminds me, I told you that they say that the Alter Rebbe said that Mashiach will be Misnagid. As if he's a Chassid, only the Chassidim will follow him. And if he's misnagid, the Chassidim say, okay, as long as it's Mashiach, we're going to go along. So I think, I don't know if the Rebbe said, but the Biel said anyway. What does it mean Mashiach will be misnagid? I mean, the whole point of Mashiach is revealing Pnimis HaTorah, that he revealed the deepest secrets in Oishis of Nigla. That's the whole Kut of Sichas is that famous. But especially that seeing. We haven't learned it. Maybe we should learn it inside our orders and our once language of Siddhis. Okay, let's finish the continue. The calls are moving, concluding our chapter. So therefore, the constancy of the existence of the world should Allah have said this klal. It continues without any diminishing, without weakening. Because why? Because the infinite creator is constantly invested, and therefore it is like him, unchanging. So now we understand that the Keach HaPoel, the creative ongoing force that's in the Nifel, in the created result, it's separate. It's constantly connected to the source, and therefore it expresses, like the source, constancy and foreverness and eternity. However, yet we're clear. Shmuel's not here today. Maybe I just didn't see. No. Yeah, everybody's with me, guys. Heads a shake.
Yeah.
A little cha cha cha. Yeah. Yeah.
A little thinking about it, like
Sorry, speak up, I can't hear
the 6,000 years, like what's gonna be?
He's described it. The second millennium is the diffusion of the barriers.
I'm saying, like,
The barrier comes down between Gashmis and Ruchnis.
and then what? Forever we'll just live like that.
That's forever and ever. Yeah. So and that raises all kinds of questions. So what's the avodah then?
Oh,
So Taka, listen, I'll tell you something. I mean, what he brings it out yom yom. The nevuah that says Yomim Asher Ein Libem Chayfetz Toimrim. So Yeshaya and I forgot which navi it was. Days about which I don't have desire. Mashiach. Why? Because then we'll have to give out. Now we're just writing on the avodah we did then. And then we'll be like the deep regret overhead that avodah. But once of the lack of avodah now. But once, and you asked the question, the Rebbe once addressed it, how could that terrible thing then? So you tell you, Moishe Mashiach, which we're dying for, literally killed for. And that's going to be, we're going to live with the regret of the past. That's the end game. Rebbe addressed that also. I got to try and find it. I'm pretty sure he did. But without having the answer to that, it's good to remind ourselves of the following very, very hard, sobering statement of our sages. So the Gemara says when Mashiach comes, the tzaddikim and the rashaim will look at the Eitzar and they'll both cry. We'll overcome and what's going to be the tears? More than tears, will overcome, overwhelm. So the tzaddikim, the loose sense, look at it and say, we were so close to getting off the cliff. This great Eitzah, we resisted it. Like, what such gratitude, humility, and realizing how close they were. This great monstrous Eitzah, or the great cliff that they were just about to. We could have easily, boom. And the Rasha look at it as this tiny, but the lush is tiny little thing, a little bit of resistance. This got the better of it. A little Kabbalah soil. It took us a little decision. It's such a sobering thing. It's so true. The Rebbe would often say, friends, whatever he's talking about, and then the obvious challenges, he would put in perspective by 2 words, but 3 words. At the end of the day, that big resistance, what is its value in the bigger picture? Step back, what am I getting and losing out of this? So right now, tired, a million things, and right now I can. But step back and say, in the big picture, what am I contributing? What am I gaining? What am I losing? And that's sobering. Put it into perspective, you'll win the battle. We just get caught up like this, like in the narrowness of the moment. That's why Shabbos Bereshis, the father, the ''tchk said that the way a person orients himself, that's the way he should do the whole year. The Rebbe added, I think ''tchk. I think it should be barchava, broad. Doesn't mean broad. Big smile, yeah, that's it. Broad means don't lose perspective. Take from Tishrei these big moments when we're connected and elevated, so hang on to the perspective of what's real. And then the Sionis will shrink to almost insignificant. Like we'll see it then when Mashiach comes. This, I gave into this. Stupid. Gotta have that perspective now.
You feel that
Change our
now.
lives, huh? Speak up.
You can feel that now also.
I don't know, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. We're talking we should do this now.
Yeah, like it's so little.
That's what the Gemara, exactly. The Chacham said it now, not to know this is what you're going to be facing then. No, now, live it now again. This is what, I don't know, that's no point. Or to put it in simple language, a general piece of advice which I use, it's extremely useful. It's a simple thing. You say, you're facing a choice now. I go, I shouldn't go, not go, whatever it is. Usually it's about inconvenience, about going somewhere. Or picking up the phone, whatever it is. That's one question. A good thing you won't regret. If I do this, will I regret that I did it? No. But if I don't do it, probably yeah. If not now, then a simple example of myself is a small thing, maybe not so small. On Friday I call, along it's a short day, Friday it's getting shorter. And aside from all the things that I got the list of the survivors, and then it's also old widows, mostly widows because they live longer, that died, that people died, I called it to me. And I was thinking of calling Admo. I went to see him in the hospital, of course. I called him. I didn't. I was not calling him, I never see him. It's a good thing. Yeah, but it's a good idea. Do it. And that night I regret that I didn't call. Obviously. So that's giving me a shot in the arm. Small things are a big thing. Is it a good thing? Do it now. That's it. You won't regret it. Oy Zayin, no, piano. Now, friends, now we're getting down to the heart of the matter. So what's he saying? Remember how this whole thing began. I exalt you, or I draw you down, the two perushim. My God, the King. Melech. This is the ''תשכ of Rosh Hashanah. Melech goes on his nasas atzmi is the very essence of Hashem. Period. Arimimcha here explains with the chaf at the end. Remember, comes down. Chaf pshuta. Usually Arimimcha means I lift you. Here it means I draw you down. Do you remember that? Yeah. Now Alekai, he said, is two opposite pirush. In the Hebrew language, it means two different things. It means divinity. It means an expression of divinity, which is oil, which means an expression of the divine, where God's presence is revealed. That's one piddush of Elikai. And the second piddush, he brought psukim. Elikai means a force, a koyach, and the definition of force is separate. As we've been learning at length. And this word conveys both, because he brings out by the Eibishter, it's the milus of both, the mila of oil and the mila of koyach. Now, finally, we're going to get to the understanding that can be both simultaneously by asking a question. So now that we say that the creative force, we've concluded now over the course of how many oases here, that the creative force in creation is not nifred, not separate, but like oil attached. But that raises the question, then how can it be b'riya yesh ma'ayin? How could oil carry the power of koyach being ischachus with ischachus? Let me say the question first outside the text and then in the text. The question he really already explained before, but now he's coming to this, but it's at loggerheads, it's a contradiction. So let me remind you. Hello. Oil means a McGill student sitting here. We're not talking lies with Mavet. Yeah. Oil means a direct revelation of God. A direct revelation of God cannot create something that feels separate and that there is no God. Oil reveals God, it will create an existence that expresses that there is a God like oil is. To use a simple formula, you cannot produce something that you are not. You cannot produce something that you don't have. That's not you. Oil is about divine revelation. It will give rise to entities that reveal God to one degree or another. Divine revelation cannot create something that denies God, doesn't know God. What revelation of God can? Not a revelation, separate, tzimtzum, hella. So, yesh ma'ayin is not the result of God's oil, but God's koyach, because oil cannot create a yesh. It will create angels and spiritual beings and beautiful godly entities that all express there is a God. Because that's what oil is. Light, delightful and lightful entities. Not you and me. Not Ilam Hazard that walks around, like Pari said it honestly, I am me and I made myself. Or as Rene Descartes said, even more honestly and perceptively, I think, therefore I am. That's all I know. And all I could know. Or anybody could know. That's a real yes. I am. That's all I know. Everything else, I'm imagining. Everything else I think exists. Could be, because I'm imagining it. It's tachlis hayeshes, and it's 100% true. It's a very correct observation about reality. So look at the question now. We said before in the Rosh Hashanah Maamar, we addressed the difference between talking about God's koyach and God's oil. Oil means God reveals His presence. Like physical light. If there's physical light, you darn well know that there is a source of light that's producing it. And moreover, looking at the light, you know exactly where it's coming from. A light bulb, a candle, the sun. Especially as we've explained what oil means. Again, machlekas hamashpiyim. Oil means when I look at something, the image in my head, that's oil. It is. It's light. It's the light bouncing off this. That's a picture in my head. So what's that picture? It's a picture of the source. That's nothing else. That's all it is. Right? Clear? Yeah. Light reveals the source because it's attached to. So attached could give the wrong impression. It's two things stuck in. It's not two things. It's the expression of the source. Now, therefore, oil cannot create an entity that is a lie. That in its own world is a lie. It doesn't know there's a God. Oil is nothing novel. All oil does is reveal that there is a source. It will produce or anything or produce will be the same thing, saying there's nothing other than the source. It cannot create something novel, other, different. Ischachus means novel, meaning to say lie, that there's something other than God. Can't produce that. Opinions there, and that's what we said, koyach is not attached to the mocker. So since koyach is separate, it appears in quotations, we just proved it's not, that's our problem now. So it'll create something that feels separate. That's the question. So how can we say that koyach really is oir and oir is koyach? No, they're two different worlds. How does the oir produce yesh ma'ayin? You understand the question where he's going? Let's go to a few more lines. The kivan shakecha b'chinas helem, koyach is a divine energy that's not attached. She'eina b'dveikus, not attached. Elo kamoy dover anivdom imekoyrei. It's like something which is separate. Of course, it really isn't, but it's like it's separate. So if it's like it's separate, in other words, the source is eclipsed from it, you can't call it dovuk anymore. Dovuk means consciously, transparently. It's not. Koyach is like an energy that's like novel and separate from the source, which is why it can produce an entity like this world that feels separate. It creates something novel and separate.
Einoi.
Huh?
I'm sorry.
What? Einoi, you said?
I think you skipped the word.
I skipped the word.
Okshem sho'er atzmei eina inyin shel ischachus. Lachen gam pulase eina ba'efen shel ischachus. Unless
No.
I'm off by a line.
The wrong line.
No, it is.
Wrong line. Wrong line, sorry.
Yeah, no, forget. Yeah. Koyach does create, because it's separate, it creates something that's novel. We'll continue tomorrow. So now he's just getting out. This is very clever. This is gonna strain your head, sweat, lose sleep over this in the healthiest way. In the end, I was going to reconcile Helem and Gilui Oir. It's Oir, it's Mamish Oir attached. The Helem is not a Helem, yet it is a Helem. Which is why it creates Yesh Ma'ayin. This is the end of the mind, my friends. Come in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, because it's very challenging. All right, my dear friends.
We get to it tomorrow.
The store, it's late, so we're going to rush it to davening. Good to see everybody. Have a wonderful day. Sudas Toivus all around.